In this zombie-ravaged world, the only things that keep survivors alive are their food, water, and weapons. While the others are lacking, our MC has exactly what he needs. Shi Yang knew the end of the world was coming, so he started getting ready early. He built a fortress, stocked it with supplies, and gathered his friends to live comfortably in the middle of the apocalypse. But without a new system that gave him missions to do, all his supplies would have run out very soon. By doing this, he opens loot boxes filled with powerful rewards, resources, and boosts that make him stronger. It always began with someone turning their back on us. Our hero dangles by a thread inside an empty warehouse, while zombie mouths open wide below, ready to feast on him. Zhang Xiaoyong's terrible girlfriend laughs cruelly and tells him she has already killed all his friends. Poor Xiang looks back on his life and sees that his big mistakes cost his friends their lives, so he blames himself, screams at the woman, and promises her a terrible death. Of course, a threat like that from where he stands means nothing to someone who clings to her sugar daddy and complains whenever her feelings get hurt, but the fatso leader thinks it's time to watch Xiang tortured to death, and to make it worse, he even thanks our boy for leaving behind all his supplies, which will keep them going for months without a care. And so, our hero finds his end as he plummets straight into the cage of hungry zombies. The freak shows suddenly jump on him, ripping at his flesh while he lies helpless and writhing in agony. Even as his screams tear through the sky, Shi Yang swears with burning rage that if Truck Kuan grants him another life, he will spend every moment seeking revenge against both Jing and Lu Xiang. The regression was real. The gods must have heard his wish because Bro instantly woke up in his own past. Right in front of him stands Kajing, showing off her dump truck as she tries to make up for her past, while shouting at our hero for not adding her name to his property, just like any gold digger would. Xiaoyong simply ignored her constant chatter and focused on what was happening, quickly realizing he had been thrown back to the moment just before the world ended. A heavy weight of guilt presses on him as he remembers how Kajing, that fake hoe who graduated from University of Ipology, betrayed him and destroyed his family's fortune and wealth, which was bad enough without even needing a zombie apocalypse to make things worse, since this woman is basically a walking disaster herself. Just like in every zombie movie you've seen, people suddenly turned into monsters and started hunting each other. Thanks to Shi Yang's great friends and strong connections, he built a safe haven for survivors. But everything changed when a fake beggar named Apologist showed up, and our boy let her in out of pity, making his worst mistake yet. He played nice and paid the price, for she quickly turned the tables and led her own group right into the safe zone. The very fact that she stands just feet away, screaming at him to hand over her money, tells you everything about how unbearable she is. Our kid is glaring at her like she deserves it and wants to strangle her, but he knows better than to rush things right now. He still shoves her outside since she just won't stop talking. The door bangs shut right in Kajing's face as she watches in disbelief, realizing the man she once treated like a servant now has the guts to kick her out without a single problem. Back in his apartment, Xiaoyong checks the calendar and sees he only has a month left to get ready before the world-ending apocalypse starts. Suddenly, a strange screen pops up to activate the apocalypse system, telling him to grab a piece of land and stock up on a year's worth of food, a plan that feels strangely inspired by Genghis Khan, and comes with a reward of 10 points he can trade for special goodies at the store. Seeing the big smile on his face, you know how Shi Yang feels. He's absolutely thrilled to find a new system that will help him survive the apocalypse. Walking into the store, I see just 3 things for sale: a potion to make me stronger, a kit to keep me alive, and a special box for the hero, each with its own price tag to earn. Things are turning out better for him than he ever thought, and Xiaoyong quickly remembers how miserable he used to be when he starved himself to save every penny for Kajing's dowry, only to realize the pain of working that hard for someone who still ends up betraying you. So, he snatches up his phone to order food, knowing the zombies won't leave him any to eat anyway. That very night, the scene shifts to him enjoying his pricey takeout meal like it's a special treat. Bro is so hungry for real pork that the second he takes a bite, he gets divine strength and turns into a shredded god. Just kidding, but the taste feels so amazing that he starts devouring the food like a Victorian child who hasn't eaten in days. And before he knows it, his phone starts screaming at him. Xiaoyong looks at the screen and sees it's a call from Wenshuya, Kajing's best friend. In true toxic best friend style, she starts yelling at him on the phone for dismissing his girlfriend. The chick is so annoying to him that he finally hangs up on her. Instead, he turns his attention to grabbing a plot of land where he can build a mighty fortress that's easy to defend, right next to forests and water. The next day, our hero heads to work at a real estate firm, where he speaks with a consultant who asks if he's there to buy or rent a place. Before he could reply, their talk was cut short by Shang's boss, the sales manager named Jay, who ordered her to handle the bottom-tier work instead of staying at the front. He roughly pushes her out of the way and orders her to the back, even though she was doing just fine helping a customer. Manager Jay, a snobbish boss, insults Xi Yang by calling him broke, but Xi Yang immediately stands up to him and calls out the manager's rude behavior. Instead of saying sorry, the manager digs his heels in and claims that someone like Xiao Yang is so poor they can't even afford a toilet, so nobody should waste time listening to him. Xiao Yang hates this guy deep down and vows to crush his confidence with his next move. Bro pulls out an American Express card and proudly announces he's ready to buy some land. The moment they see him out here buying land, everyone jumps with a roar of shock, knowing they've just found gold in this customer. Consultant Xiao Ning smiles and invites him to come along, promising to walk him through everything in detail. Manager Ju is losing his patience because he thinks the kid is just bragging without having any money to prove it. Next, Xing hands him a list of lands he can buy. But our boy isn't here to just look over a list. Instead, he's going to tell them exactly what he needs so they can get it for him. First, he wants the spot near the mountains with fresh, flowing water and a good way to travel. And lastly, he'd like a factory or a big house right on top of it. Thinking carefully about what she needs, Xing weighs her choices. Manager Jay tries to push a bad plan just to embarrass our guy, even though Xing knows the East District project is too full of problems to recommend. But this arrogant boy doesn't care, convinced that Xiaoyang is only setting up impossible demands because he knows a customer like him would never buy anything. Our boy asks if the East District plot is truly what he needs, and Shouting agrees but warns him about the unfinished factories and the project leader leaving. Xi Yang checks the plot's records and sees a real advantage. A spot easy to defend with barbed wire and hard to attack, plus unfinished factories waiting to be used. Without hesitation, he agrees to buy the lot and sign the papers, leaving the polite consultant stunned that her eager buyer wants to purchase a site filled with unfinished factories, while Xiaoyang doesn't care at all and just wants to get the contract ready so he can shove it into the manager's face. In the next scene, Manager Jay goes wild, screaming at the bill and wondering how anyone could possibly pay millions to cover a plot full of rundown factories. The best part is that Xia Yang shows up right away to remind him about the deal, so the manager has to swallow his pride since he bought the plot. As Xiao Yang walks away, the other customers mock the manager, watch his reaction on stream, and eagerly volunteer for the task. So let's go back to our boy. Remembering his two main tasks from the Apocalypse system, he has already finished the first one by using his bride money to buy land, and now he needs to start saving up enough supplies to last a whole year. As Xu Jiang walks away, he suddenly spots the guy and wonders what he's doing there. Fudgy the Whale looks at the silly mess right in front of him. They've pinned Manager Jay down and are forcing him to eat on livestream, which is a fate even worse than dying. Suddenly, the gross scene turns into something tempting, showing off Kajing in her most curvy and alluring form. Suddenly, the woman gets a call from Shuang, who urgently tells her that Xiaoyong has just visited the real estate office. And that really fired her up because her biggest question was, how on earth did he buy land? And where did the money come from? Shush Zhang revealed the exact deposit details and pointed out that this man likely spent his bride's money on it. Quang is furious that her hard-earned money is going toward his personal stuff, so Big Mac Attack tells her to just ask the guy himself. But since she won't stop talking about it, I'm skipping right past that part. Our boy is busy dreaming up his next plan, but a huge problem is money because he'll need a lot of cash to buy resources and build his base. His quiet thinking is suddenly broken by a loud banging on the door. Not because the FBI found something in his web history as he worries, but because two incredibly annoying women are furious that Xiao Yang spent Kajing's money. Totally lost in the mess, the guy just wonders what on earth is happening. Without letting him speak, Kajing accuses him of spending her money on land and even claims the property as her own. You can tell Xiao Yang thinks her accusations are completely ridiculous. He first smacks her shoulder with a stack of money, then warns her he won't let her waste a single cent, and finally drops a bombshell about Xu Jiang and Kajing sneaking around together, leaving her even more shocked. While her worst bestie tries to act innocent and claim it's just a misunderstanding between a couple, our boy sees right through it and calls her out for cheating and playing him against her sugar daddy. He slammed the door in her face and told her to get lost, but Kajing doesn't feel guilty about her own mess-up. Instead, she's just upset that the boy figured out their secret, which shows just how messed up this woman really is since she barely cares about the huge mistake she made. Her best friend is just as stunned and confused about when the secret started, and she's absolutely disgusted that it involved the old jerk, Xu Xiang. She knows they have no power left against Xiaoyang, so they'll have to come back with a new plan, and earlier I called this woman the worst best friend of the year, because you're about to see why. You see, she's a snake waiting for the perfect moment to strike, thrilled that the others are fighting, so she can sneak in and claim Xiang for herself. But let's put those two nasty characters aside and focus on Xiang, who arrive at the half-finished factory only to hear from the construction crew leader that they need to fix many things and add proper defenses, which will take quite a while. Amidst the absurdity of piling up more and more defense systems, a construction worker jokes, "Are you trying to fight God?" While the stubborn leader refuses to budge, demanding the whole project be finished in just 1 month despite the captain's clear warning that even with all their numbers, it simply can't be done. But strangely, that same captain then tells him the kid will have to pay extra to finish his demands in just a month. Because the job is rushing ahead, they need at least $20 million to get it done. Without losing hope over the cost, our boy just grinned and asked if that was all they wanted, only for the leader to add that Xiao Yong would also need to pay $5 million up front to get things started. Our boy is on board with the plan, promising to get the money transferred in a week if they start right away, leaving the captain speechless and wondering if Xiao Yong is some kind of Chinese billionaire. Our boy promises that if he ever skips a payment or causes trouble, he'll simply add their name to the property deed to stop the mess, and that's how the sweet deal gets locked in. But right then, the talk is cut short by Qi Jing's friend, who puts on a friendly act, grabs his arm, and asks what he's doing. Already, our boy is furious, remembering that in his past life, she was part of a scandal where she helped Kijing steal his family's fortune. So while he plans to settle the score later, for now, Xiang just wonders how she ended up here. The girl refuses to speak and playfully asks if he's been working on a plot to build a villa right on top of it. Xiang drops the act, breaks free, and snaps that it's none of her business. Her heart pounds with love for him, yet his rude behavior just makes her even more furious. Xiang turns his attention back to his project and orders the construction crew to clear out more room for the gate. Feeling ignored, she frowns at her chance to swoop in on Kijing's broken relationship and snatch the land from our boy, making me worry that he's a magnet for the worst kind of women. Back home, Xiao Yong tries to use his house as collateral for cash, but it still isn't enough, so he seriously thinks about selling it to anyone who will take it, knowing that if the apocalypse hits, a zombie court will never bother to sue him. The quiet is ruined when an old man bangs on the door, yelling that Xiang must open it right now. Apparently, this guy is supposed to be his rich neighbor Grandpa Li, who owns the first 2 floors and is now hunting for Xiang's place as well. The only reason our hero didn't sell the place before was because he dreamed of turning it into his future wedding home. But with the old man constantly yelling at him and things going so wrong, he's finally ready to change his mind. The brightening of the grumpy geyser's mood shows how astonished he was to hear those words from the kid's mouth. Xiaoyang insists that there's a catch to it. Since his new home won't be ready for another 6 months, he'll need to collect an upfront payment of $5 million to pay off his current loan, and if he keeps doing this with different buyers, it's actually a pretty smart move. Xiang was ready to slam the door on him if he said no, but at the very last second, the stubborn old geyser crumbled and agreed, though he insisted on a contract so neither side would run into trouble later. Our boy didn't mind signing the contract since he knew the geyser would eventually die and leave the house to him anyway, and with $8 million total now at his disposal, things are finally looking good. Now that he's done the first task, he can also claim his mission reward. Next, our boy zips through the grocery store like he's speedrunning a game, pushing his shopping cart with the force of a true master. Even the folks around him are starting to wonder if the kid is crazy, and their judgment seems right once you see that Xiang has 7 carts overflowing with everything he's hoarded. The people think someone scared him into buying everything by claiming the world was ending. Xia Yong ignores the fools and gets the second task done anyway. He carefully decides to skip raising his own stats and instead save his points to grab the Protagonist toolbox. He didn't even think twice. He picked it and spent every single point he had. The result is a beaming mystery box that reveals a powerful space ring to keep his items safe in a frozen dimension. In the end, our hero is super happy to finally grab that legendary item. He won't have to worry about his food spoiling inside the static dimension anymore. If you thought stocking up for a year was the next challenge, the system just upped the ante and now demands he gather 10 years worth of supplies to earn more points. After the manager's attention is grabbed, security rushes in to handle anyone causing a scene. Yong Tao is shocked to see Xiaoyang here, especially since back in school Yong Tao was a bully who used to torment the weak, including our boy, who never took his orders, and now the same guy is yelling at Xiao Yong to return supplies instead of making a scene. Our boy flashes a fearless grin and says nothing's changed, because Yong Tao is still the same old Captain Douchebag as before. He promises to finish the purchase, but the security manager thinks Xiaoyang is just messing around and demands immediate payment or else. An entire hour later, for receptionists finally finish checking out every single item. It all adds up to almost 57,000 yuan. Right away, Yong Tao makes our boy swipe his card and rush out immediately. Xiaoliang acts like he just pulled off an amazing trick as he swipes the card with total confidence. The manager was stunned when the transfer went through, leaving Young Tao, speechless. Shamed, he leads his men away, but our hero isn't finished and calls out for one final task. Xiao Yong says he was treated unfairly for his purchase, so he wants an official apology, or he'll return these items right away. Hearing this makes Young Tao's blood boil because he thinks the kid is just testing his patience and looking for a fight. But these days, cameras are everywhere, so the other customers are cornering the rude security manager, demanding he apologize right now or risk going viral on TikTok for being stubborn. Xiaoyang is doing well, so he tells his old classmate that saying sorry won't hurt. In fact, that might just be the push he needs to buy 10 times more. So Young Tao thinks it's an exaggeration, but our boy calmly decides to prove him wrong again by showing him his balance. As he swipes the card, Young Tao's face drops in shock at seeing $7 million sitting in that guy's account. So Xiaoyang has to shove the humiliated man to apologize to save himself. The bully finally gives in, drops his head, and says sorry for how he acted. To make him look even worse, our boy pats his head and reminds him not to be rude without a reason. As he walks away, Young Tao curiously asks what he bought all that stuff for, but Xiang just brushes him off, saying it's none of his business and that he's planning something big. The manager, feeling humbled, admits he'll have to track down a wholesaler to handle such huge orders. This catches the boy's attention as he turns to ask if Young Tao knows any wholesalers, and the guy confirms it by mentioning their old boss, Zhang Shang, who now runs a wholesale business. Yang Tao actually calls Xiaoyang to chat about a major client, and Xiaoyang is shocked to learn that this rude guy still works under the same boss from back in school, which makes him wonder just how much money they've made together. A little while later, Young Tao leads him to his boss's place. Just as they stand there, a car zooms up and slams on its brakes, stopping mere inches from the pair. Out steps the arrogant bastard Zhang Sheng, who thinks he runs the whole world. He wants to meet this supposed big client immediately. So Yang Tao jumps in to jog his memory by reminding him that Xiaoyang used to be his classmate. But since so much time has passed, this tough guy has forgotten everything. He stares closely at the boy's face and suddenly realizes who Xiaoyang really is. It was the kid who always stood up to his group and refused to follow their orders. He tries to make our boy's drip look fake, and it only makes things worse when Xiaoyang acts like he doesn't even know the brand's name. Zhang Shengzhe looks at the kid and sighs, realizing he's just wasted his time since the boy isn't worth the trouble. He kicks Yang Tao's, but then says he knows how rich someone is just by looking at them. Xiaoyang laughed at his boss by joking that his spirit energy was so weak he couldn't even scare the man. Furious, Zhang Shengzhe snatches his clothes and pulls him close. But our boy won't back down and repeats his words, making Zhang Shengzhe furious just because someone called him illiterate. He didn't mind that Xiaoyang mocked him for acting too proud. Anyway, Young Tao jumps in to stop the fight, but the unlucky guy just gets kicked for interrupting. The angry boss is convinced Xiaoyang made a huge mistake and will only get out of this alive if he buys tons of goods from him. And yes, that one piece is absolutely real. Xiaoyang stands firm and shows him his little bank account. The boss is stunned to see the kid instantly jump in with a 1 million deposit, then even bigger, promise to spend 5 million on goods. Intrigued, Zhang Shengzhe asks what he wants to buy, and the kid replies that he wants every single thing you can eat or drink. Even though a huge client stands right there, the greedy boss thinks he can easily trick our boy by handing him food that's about to expire, treating it like a lucky lottery ticket. Zhang Shengzhe steps into the warehouse to show off the goods and offers to throw in a 10% discount if he buys everything there. But our boy cares most about the quality of the goods, so he grabs a bag of peanuts to check and quickly shows how most of it is almost expired, proving the boss is greedy. Chong Shinji didn't realize Xiaoyang knew so much about this trade, so he offered a huge 50% discount if Xiaoyang would take the whole pile. But our boy quickly turns him down, saying that if he's spending 5 million on goods, they have to be the very best. The boss is baffled by Xiang's plan to turn those expired goods into a bargain, but Xiang seizes the discount offered a bargain for the entire stash, promising to pay for it all in just 1 month. Zhang Shinji hesitates due to fear of the goods expiring and walks away. Yet Xiang impresses the boss by offering his own house as a mortgage to cover the cost, leaving the boss amazed at how Xiaoyang can handle expired items without issues. Our boy isn't scared of his choices. Instead, he leaves a tiny clue for the boss, and soon enough, even rotten food will feel like a treasure, sending shivers down Zhang Sheng's spine, while Xiaoyang keeps his usual quiet and seals the deal by promising to send the delivery address later. When our boy answers the ringing phone, he learns that someone has come to buy his house. He finishes up the warehouse stuff and lets them handle the rest. As Young Tao walks away, he can't shake the worry that they're the ones who got spammed, especially since even the boss is baffled by how a kid who looks so normal is spending millions like it's nothing. Next, a eager buyer puts down 400,000 for our boy's home and agrees to let Xiong move out in 3 months, because he knows the world is going crazy anyway, and nothing really matters. Xia couldn't believe the old man agreed to sell his house without even looking inside, so he asked why, and the man revealed he was doing it for his granddaughter, who needs a new home while moving schools. Scaring him, Shurao Yong wonders if he should raise the price now that he's heard how desperate they are, making the poor guy shrink in fear. Xiong promises he won't do anything else, even though he keeps his price the same. Before they knew it, they'd signed the papers and the deal was wrapped up. The old man thanked the kind boy and promised to leave him alone from now on. But this situation breaks our hero's heart because he thinks it's a terrible shame that innocent folks like the old man and his granddaughter won't even make it through the brutal end of the world. Deciding to show one last act of kindness, he stops the old man and asks where they are. Next, Xiaoyong heads back to the construction site to check on his plot. Sure, the first round of money is safe, but the captain is still waiting for the second batch, and our hero promises it's coming soon while asking for an update on the building work. From what I can see, 8 out of 10 parts are already done, with strong doors and walls put in place for safety, a tidy warehouse, and everything cleaned up. Once Shi Yang feels sure, he tells Zhang Xinch to send all the goods right away. Soon the supplies arrive and are stacked up, with Xiong paying the workers 2,000 just for the effort while our hero helps sort the piles, making sure the food stays fresh without a single scratch. By the time the sun goes down, all the sorting is done. Xiaoyong gazes down at the masterpiece he has finally created. After years of hard work, he finally filled his store with 10 years' worth of food and earned 20 points to boot. Once more, he checks the system store and sees a new option has appeared, giving him the chance to unlock these superpowers before the zombie apocalypse strikes. For 10 points, he buys a mystery box that reveals the mind's eye, a power to spot danger and betrayal in a world where trust is rare, and with it comes his new mission, to go full John Wick and stock up on an army of weapons, just as Shi Yang planned. That very night, we slip into the dark underbelly of the world and dive into the black market. Xiaoyong pushes through the bustling crowd, listening to the chatter about old treasures. Every nasty character is here, including Big Mac Attack, who is loudly arguing with the shop owner over a silly price for a bracelet. Watching him buy fake bracelets at this market makes our boy certain that Fatso is a fraud, and even Kajing can't tell her jewelry is counterfeit. As Xiong looked around, he finally spotted something that truly caught his eye. He walks up to a shop owner selling sharp weapons, and Shurao Yong is eager to buy the best ones. The shop owner suggests grabbing a knife sharpener, or just a stiff baton if you don't need anything sharp. Shurao Yong argues that you can't beat a baton with anything, not even Dwayne Johnson's shiny bald head. Anyway, the shop owner thinks the customer is just playing games and isn't really looking to buy anything. To his complete shock, the same kid suddenly sends 200,000 right into his account and tells him he really wants to buy it. The seller, feeling curious, asks Xiao Xiong to guard his stall while he goes off to talk with someone privately. In the storage room, the man offers Xiaoyang a pile of cheap homemade guns that cost only 2,000 yuan, but Xiaoyang refuses them because he knows he'll have to fight real zombies, not chickens, in the apocalypse. The seller then points out a replica revolver that costs about 5,000 yuan. Once again, the kid stays dead serious and feels no thrill at all, even though they handed him a huge 200,000 in advance. The shop owner is stunned to hear that Xiong isn't just bringing 200 grand, but plans to spend 2 full million on weapons for the job. His wild offer makes the seller wonder what kind of life this guy leads. And I'm telling you, man is about to become the John Wick of the zombie apocalypse. So without further ado, he tells the seller to just get on with it. Deciding to go all out, the man secures his home and makes sure nobody is watching them. He tells Xiaoyang he's found the right person to connect him with a seller who can get him high-quality weapons, and the real meeting will happen in just a couple of days. As Shurao Yong walks out of the storage house, he bumps into Fudgy Pudgy again, who finally realizes why Shi Yang has been living so comfortably, guessing that the kid must have sold off a lot of stuff on the black market to get rich. Little does he realize that Xiaoliang isn't even bothered by his antics, and is only using this idiot to try out his newest power. Closing his eyes to focus, he senses the seller's good intentions, but feels the bulky man ahead of him is a different story. Xia retorts that just as he took in Kajing, who is worth far more than all those fake bracelets, someone is definitely going to need some icing on that burn. All it takes is a simple remark to make Xu Zhang's nerves flare. The seller wonders if they know each other, so our boy insists they should treat him like an enemy, and since they've already become friends, the seller promises to beat up the old man for messing with them. Xiao Yong walks away, feeling happy, while Xu Xiang is right on the edge of crying. As a group of cruel men with batons came rushing toward him, they slammed him onto the ground and kicked him so hard until his body was covered in bruises. This act only makes him hate Xiao Yong more, and he vows to take his revenge someday. After 2 long days, our boy walked away with a truckload of fancy weapons, a mission reward plus a special bonus potion that doubles his stats, making it far better than anything he could buy. Without wasting a second, he loads the syringe and thrusts it into his body. A moment later, he notices he has outpaced the average man's strength of 5 points, now standing at 7 and feeling a powerful 40% boost in his muscles. Next, he walks into the shop, but it's nearly empty, holding only a survival kit and a potion that will boost his body. To get stronger, he grabs the physical enhancement potion and injects it once more. By the end, our boy is packed with 8 physical points, giving him 60% more power than the average guy. To prove he could do it, he scanned the area and snatched up a tough, solid rod. Xie Yang kicks the ball with such force that it bends and cracks the nearest wall, proving that if he keeps this up, he'll soon be grabbing zombies by their hands like they're toys. Next, he loads his weapons into his special ring that instantly pulls in all the heavy crates. Xiaoyang realizes the apocalypse is coming in just 2 days, so he rushes to fix loose ends, including the mystery of the old man he met. Even though others betrayed him during the apocalypse, Xiaoyang remains a kind soul at heart, always eager to help those in need. That's why he plans to send a stockpile of supplies to help his family survive. But from now on, everyone else will have to fend for themselves. In the next scene, Shirao Yong walks up to the old man's house. It was hard to pinpoint where we were because the place looked so worn out and sad. As he climbs the stairs, our boy realizes the old man must be in a really bad spot in life. While pounding on the door, he remembers to grab his supplies first so he won't be stuck with them later. As his magic ring pulls the rationing supplies from thin air right outside, he finally knocks on the door, only to find the old man coming up nervously to apologize for the rent, but freezing in shock when he sees Shirao Yong standing there. And on top of that, the kid has carried a huge pile of stuff with him. Our boy tells him he's too busy to explain, so they just need to move the stuff inside as fast as they can. Next, they pile all the crates inside, and the old man is amazed by how much energy Xi Yang has. Our boy checks everything around him and decides the old man's place is locked up tight. He tells the old man to keep his mouth shut about the secret, while Xiaoyang urges them to save their supplies because the world is about to change. Suddenly, he looks at a picture of the old geyser's stunning granddaughter. He couldn't believe his eyes as he realized it was Shan, the friend he'd made after the world ended. To make sure he wasn't imagining things, he asks Xiaoyang's grandfather, who is shocked that Xiaoyang knows her name even though they never mentioned it before. Worried, Xi Yang rushes to find her and learns she is currently in her hometown, busy with transfer papers while studying there. In the original timeline, she was left haunted by her grandfather's selfless sacrifice and death, but as his friend, Xiang won't let that tragedy happen again. He tells her grandfather he can't move into his house, which scares the old man until Xiaoyang explains that a zombie apocalypse is starting tomorrow and no place will be safe, so they need to get his daughter from school first to figure out where to hide. A lot to take in all at once. Poor Xiang has no choice but to help his friend. He says their quiet world is now facing a terrible famine where going hungry is the only life left. Xiaoyang proves his point by pulling all their furniture and crates right back into his ring. Shinshan's grandfather is speechless until our boy reveals he can see the future, which means they must rush to Shunshan's school to keep him safe. Next, they're zooming inside the car, racing toward the school. As soon as they get here, Shirao Yang immediately points out her dormitory, while the two of them quickly scan the area to find her. It turns out Shan is getting hit with jealous slaps because a random guy is crushing on her. Even though Shan tries to say she has nothing to do with that guy, people keep hitting her with excuses for being with him. The meanies torture Shan by making her act cool while her crush watches. Fortunately for her, Shinunk's grandpa rushes over to find her. The helpless old man begs the woman to let him go. But to handle the problem, a group of wild high school kids show up and threaten the old man for getting involved. For the sake of his granddaughter, the old man rushes in blindly to face the 3 men. A cruel man is about to smash his head with a baseball bat. Before the hit lands, Xi Yang snatches the guy's arm to stop him and mocks him for acting tough when they're really just a bunch of high school kids. The fools try to mess with him, but Shirao Yong shuts them down by kicking the first guy so hard his hair turns blonde. With a single kick, he hit the ground, leaving the other 2 idiots wondering if they were facing a trained pro. They foolishly try to surround him, thinking it will help, but our boy happily lets them try. The guy with the club swings from behind where he can't see, but misses completely as Xi Yang dodges it effortlessly. Now that he's pumped up his strength, his reflexes are on another level, letting him react way faster. To return the blow with love, he grabs the guy's collar, slams him onto the ground, knocks him out instantly, and then tries to sneak up on the group leader with a knife stab. Unfortunately for him, Shi Yang twists his fist to get the better angle and lands a hard kick right below the guy's thigh. Just to warn you, getting hit in the face by a real fighter will leave you in pain like nothing else can. Well, in this idiot's case, Xiao Yang managed to help him take a nap. Next, he steps up to the girl who was playing with Shan Shan. A slap to the face reminds her that he's backing feminism and fighting for equal rights. The girl is literally seeing stars for a minute. Bro then grabs the other one and shows her exactly what it feels like to have your hair pulled. He presses a sharp blade against her neck, making her eyes fill with tears of fear. Suddenly, a violent slash slices through the air, and the woman lets out a scream of agony. At first, it looks like Bro just made his first kill, and even Shan Shan's reaction makes it seem like he really took a life. But no, he just gave her a little haircut, like when barbers mess up and turn a small trim into a full fade, which is exactly happening to her now. She screams at him, vowing never to forgive him, but our boy doesn't care, acting like he did her a huge favor by taking off the extra weight. He jokes that she'll understand what he means in just a few days, so for now, he tells Shan Shan they're off. She has no idea where he's going, but she keeps right on his heels. As the next scene begins, they are off and driving toward their new home. Grandpa leans over to explain the terrifying truth. A huge famine apocalypse is coming. Shan Shan worries her grandpa got tricked again by a scam call, but he insists it's not a scam, and our boy finds their sweet moment together very amusing. Xiaoyang points out that he was the one who told her grandfather everything. With no clue about his own past, the Shan Shan introduces himself properly again, while she thanks her new brother for helping with the bullies. Though Xiaoyang isn't worried since they won't last a few days, and she remains lost as to what is about to happen to the world. Xiaoyang gently explains that calling it a famine is just a softer word to help her grandpa cope and give the girl a moment of hope, but Bro instantly crushes that hope by swapping the word for apocalypse, while Xiaoyang reminds them that the news has already shown how bad things are getting. Shan quickly checks her phone and spots videos showing a rabies infection driving people crazy and attacking others. Her fear grows with every video she watches, leaves her horrified at the sight of the infected, and pushes Shi Yang to correct himself just as the apocalypse is about to begin. Shan discovers that tomorrow the poisonous smog will officially break free and spread across many provinces. A deadly smog will permanently change living beings, turning most people into hungry zombies that will start eating anyone who is still safe. Once they die, the living turn into undead and their ranks grow. He feels relieved that Shan Shan at least knows what zombies are, even though the situation is so absurd she can't quite grasp it, but he believes she'll understand soon enough when the whole world goes crazy in a week. Only for now, they're stuck dealing with one more nightmare. Traffic. Xiaoyang was shocked to discover that the emergency lane was blocked too. With the streets jammed and Shan Shan terrified that the zombies will find them, Xiang tries to calm her fears by saying the worst hasn't happened yet. Even though the big end of the world hasn't happened yet, there's still a very good chance that a small outbreak could break out here. Speaking of dangerous, a driver forces his way through traffic and slams into our boy's car, sparking a furious retaliation. He rushes to block the intruder from squeezing into the emergency lane. The guy pulls up right beside his car and starts yelling all kinds of bad words at Shi Yang. When Shan Shan's grandpa suggests ignoring the arrogant man in his Mercedes, our hero refuses to back down and warns that he won't hesitate to end the guy's life if he gets out of the car. Finally, an hour later, the jam clears and everything is fixed. Shan Shan tells our boy to watch out for the driver from before who is now speeding to get through. Even Xiaoyang can't help but be stunned by this guy's sheer stubbornness. He speeds ahead just to tease them. Even Shan's grandpa says it's unsafe and they shouldn't lower themselves to his level. But Xiang has stopped caring about such people because he knows the apocalypse will protect him from their crimes. He slams straight into the other man's car, sending it spinning off the road and crashing hard against the side. The trust fund baby hops out of the car and immediately calls the police to have Xiaoyang arrested. He's never the kind of guy to let someone off the hook just because they messed with him. Next, the heroes return to the base where Shi Yang has spent so much time. Even Shannon's grandpa is so surprised they're going to live here from now on. He tells them that their lives will change forever starting tomorrow, so they best get some rest now. The next day, our boy was soaking up the sun when he spotted Shan Shan walking by, finally looking rested after a long time of being tired from her classes. Xiaoyang can't wait to give her a tour of the fortress he built. As he walks her around, he points out that the walls are solid concrete and the gate is remotely controlled, making it impossible for anyone to cut through. He set a strict rule. No one could get into the fortress without his say-so. This makes Shan Shan dread that Shi Yang will just watch the survivors die after they finally make it all the way here. To ease her worries, he leads her elsewhere and shows how people change completely when the world ends. They must walk on eggshells around others because the dark side of humanity can turn kindness into a deadly trap for them. To protect any survivors, he has set up a temporary safe zone for them while he's gone, and Shiying warns them once more not to let anyone into the main fortress. With that settled, he leads them to the food storage room and explains how they will be handling food from now on. Moving through the warehouse, he stops to give them one last look before they go. By turning on his special sight, he was able to see what they were really thinking. He feels relieved and happy to have found two people he can trust. Next, Shirao Yong conjures up his weapons and points out that they will be our only chance to survive. Grandpa grabbed a shotgun, while Shan finds a mighty crossbow of her own. Their only job is to stop those weapons from falling into the wrong hands. But now that we've checked the system tasks, Shiying's next step is to track down his old friend and former partner, Jiang Qi, since finding where he is right now is the biggest worry. But don't worry, because the system shows exactly where his friend lives. He steps away, leaving Shan and her grandpa to watch everything, just making sure they don't break the rules he set. Then he sets out to find a new teammate for his fortress squad so they can fix things up before the world ends. The story jumps to the KTV studio. A group of friends are chilling here and having a blast singing karaoke. They take a break to cool down, but Zhang Chai runs into a pretty girl and apologizes for the trouble he just caused. Of course, her boyfriend throws her excuses away and kicks him out of the house. Jiang Qi was blasted backward. After he fell to the ground, his friend rushed over to see if he was okay. Nerd Eyes stands tall against the angry puncher who hurt his friend, grabs the guy to mess with him, and makes Jiang Qi beg for mercy so his pal stays safe. As a cold-ridden waiter watches the chaos unfold, he rushes forward to break up the fight before it gets worse. The pretentious rich guy acts like he's the main character, grabs the waiter, and the waiter waves the two kids off to scatter quickly. Jiang Qi and his friend bolt as fast as they can before it's too late. They return to their karaoke room safe after escaping the trouble. Even the other guys are stunned to see them running like that. Captain Glasses explains that they ran into some thugs, got beaten up, and only survived because the waiter came to their rescue. Hearing this, the other two guys get angry and rush back to teach the guy a lesson for messing with them. Jinchi tries to calm him down by saying there's no point looking for trouble anymore. But things only get worse from here, because the waiter has been beaten bloody and the rich thug has brought 3 friends who are all here to attack Jangi's group. The thug shouts at his men to grab them right now. Jangi and the nerd quickly look down since they can't fight back or cause any trouble. Among the group, only one brave guy steps up to fight, but the thug boss smashes a bottle on his head the moment he tries to speak. Chun Chong, whose name isn't even racist, ends up with a bloody head, and then our guy pulls his car over right outside the bar. With Jiang Qi making perfect sense, Chun Chong knocked out, and blood on the floor that demands we rush this guy to the ER right now. The thug boss wants his girlfriend to approve of his power, and since she's furious about getting bumped into, they both turn their angry eyes on Jiang Qi, who is about to take a hard beating. Chun Chong springs up on the ground to smash the thug leader's face, but the other guy blocks the attack just in time. The thug boss is shocked that a college student is so bold, so he smashes another bottle on his head. I'm starting to feel bad for him. Chin Chong kisses the ground again, and his friends shout in worry. Zhang Qi gets so mad watching him fall that he leaps into action, but they get held up right away. The last person in their group is shaking so hard, he looks like a scared puppy on the sidelines. The waiter is fighting to stay sane while the other thugs beat up Zhang Qi's group. Badly, he misses his punch and fails to knock down any of them. The waiter suddenly snaps, his eyes turning red as he charges into the fight like a wild beast. He snaps one of the men's shoulders in his mouth, chewing with a ferocity that leaves everyone else screaming in horror. The thugs have no clue what's happening or why this waiter suddenly went crazy. They try to hold him back, but his huge strength breaks free and overpowers them. Suddenly, the zombie waiter flips around to take a big bite out of the other guy's arm. He has truly turned into a wild beast as he beats the thug and slams him onto the ground. To everyone's shock, a wild, super strong beast gets pushed around by a regular guy, our hero, who shoves his face into the screen and tells everyone else to stop. The thugs are shocked to see their boss crushed by a waiter while a little kid pins him to the wall without even breaking a sweat. The thug leader grills Xiaoyang about who he really is, but Xiaoyang stays silent and instead checks on Jangi to see if any bite marks are gone. Luckily, he can do it, but Jiang Qi is confused about why they are asking him such a strange question. Our boy urges the leader to hurry up since they're late, but the bully stops them in their tracks just as one of his own thugs starts to feel a sudden, strange headache after getting bitten. Right away, our boy accepts his fate as the infection grows worse and his body begins to turn. Xiaoyang asked if the rabid waiter had bitten off his shoulder too. The lackey accepts it as true, but can't see how the pieces fit together. Our boy realizes that the attacker was already infected, and since he was bitten right near his head, it's all over for him. Xiaoyang grabs the zombie waiter, shoves him into the bathroom, and bangs the door shut. The wild beast bangs on the door, but luckily the zombies are too dumb to open it, so he turns his focus to the thugs. Our boy gets ready to deliver a serious beating, asking Zhang Qi which enemy he should take down first. The funniest part is that Zhang Qi has no idea who he is and can't make sense of what's happening. Enraged by the kid's boldness, the thug leader lunges to crush his pride with a wild punch, only for Xiaoyang to seize his face and slam his head hard into the ground. The infected goon from earlier charges to attack too, but Xiaoyang knocks him down with one sharp punch to the face, leaving his friend confused and asking how a simple hit could do so much damage. He turned to Zhang Qi and ordered him to go with his friends to the private room, while he stayed outside to wait. The guy doesn't make a fuss, he just helps his friend walk out the door. The thug leader and his crew give up the fight since they know they can't win, but Xiaoyang isn't going to let them walk away free after messing with him. He tells the drunk thug that his carelessness nearly killed his brother, so he shoves him down and slams the door shut, trapping the thug inside because he can't open it from the other side. The result is a terrible end for him, as his own lackey has turned into a zombie and leaps forward to find its next victim. By the end, Xiaoyang hears their cries as they are eaten alive. A staff member walks by to check on things, but Xiaoyang quickly tells him to lock the door tight and call the police about a patient who is sick and dangerous. The staff member jumps at first, but our boy yells for him to just finish the job, and soon he locks it up with a key. Next, our hero guides Jungi's friends out the door while the worried staff members stare at the room, baffled by the loud commotion coming from inside. They got the scary news that a patient with a raging flu might be hiding inside, but nobody is completely sure if it's true. Upon hearing about the flu, they immediately sprint to the live cameras to get a look. But when they reach the surveillance room, their faces twist into expressions of pure disgust and horror. All of them turned into man-eating beasts that tore into each other, making the staff call the police right away. Luckily, our boy and his friends escaped the dangerous karaoke bar, and he helped them jump into the car before they sped away. Though Zhang Qi thanks the stranger, he still can't figure out who this mysterious guy is. Xiaoyang calmly introduces himself, saying he was hired by a mysterious client to keep them safe. One of them questions the raid flu patient since the internet says it never happened, but Xiaoyang points out the scary sight inside the room and asks if that was just another crazy conspiracy story. Nerd Eyes nervously asks if there's a cure for the flu, but our boy sadly knows there isn't, meaning things will only get worse before the world crashes into chaos. Speaking of that, the zombies have already started attacking the citizens. The infection is racing across the land like wildfire, yet for now, is only burning in one small corner. Most of the infected are still sleeping but will wake up soon, making chaos worse, which is why Zhang and his friends must follow his orders exactly. Just as everyone shouts, in perfect agreement, to follow him, he suddenly gets a message that the mission is done. With this, he unlocks new store items, including useful supplies and a mysterious post-apocalyptic box that keeps appearing, so he decides to redeem all 3 promising boxes at the fortress. But on top of that, he's still got to find a way to win some trust. In the original story, Zhang Qi's friends were wiped out by zombies because one of them was secretly a traitor hiding among the 3. Soon, we'll be playing Among Us to figure out who the traitor is. It's been a long time, so let's see how Kajing is doing. She is so scared of going to the grocery store after hearing the news that she wants her food delivered right to her door. To her absolute horror, she hears someone violently knocking at her door, and Qing doesn't know what to do, so she quickly ends her call with Xu Zhang. She takes a quick look and feels a wave of relief wash over her. Her best friend scared her with a shocking surprise, then told her that the neighbor downstairs was forced into an ambulance and taken away by the police. It looks like he got sick too, and that's finally why their building is so messed up. She asks Kajing if Big Mac Attack ever sent the supplies he promised, but he shakes his head and says they still haven't arrived. She decides to use Shuang's pride against him, feeding him lies that will trick the fattas into thinking Shirao Yong is hiding a huge stash of supplies. Kajing can't figure out how her best friend knows her secrets, but it turns out he's been sending one of his men to spy on her and has learned that she always orders a huge amount of supplies from time to time. Kajing can't believe her ex knew about the apocalypse beforehand, so her beastly side pushes her to tell Xu Xiang everything so they can grab Xiaoyang's supplies, get rich quick, and totally ignore their morals. When Zhang Qi steps back into his magnificent fortress, he is completely shocked by what his eyes see. He can't picture anyone actually building a real fortress for themselves. Shirao Yang beams with joy, explaining that it's just how everyone naturally feels. Shanhen and her grandpa are so happy to see him come back home. He reassures them not to worry because everything is under control, and then he introduces his new friends, Jiang Qi and his group, to share the spotlight. From now on, these guys are joining the group, and he also brings Shan and her grandpa along to meet them. They're thrilled to accept everyone as long as Shiraoyang picks them, and he even tells his grandpa to give these newcomers a tour and explain all the rules. One of the group members asks for weapons to protect themselves, making him a bigger target for Xing, who knows Jangi's crew has a spy inside. Nerd Eyes yells at Ing to chill, warning that asking for weapons before they've earned any trust is a dangerous move. Shiraoyang says they'll get weapons in a few days, but right now they must care for the hurt Qinchong and help him get better. Inside the fortress, they all freshen up and slip into brand new clothes. Ing is really irritated that his friend kept meddling, because he's sure they would have grabbed those weapons by now if he hadn't stepped in. But Nerd Eyes tells him that since Shiraoyang saved their lives, calling them captives is wrong. Everyone is curious about his past since they only know he was hired by a secret client, while the tough Ing is unnecessarily grumpy that they're avoiding Qinchong due to infection fears. And hilariously, the kid believes Xiaoyong's group is secretly harvesting organs, so they must strike first to stop it. Nerd Eyes warns that being wrong would mean betraying him from behind, but Ing is so obsessed with his own plan that he doesn't care and is already drunk on power, desperate to take control of the fortress. While Xiaoyong slips away, he decides to take down both the young girl and the old geyser, leaving Jiang Qi and his friends staring at him in shock because they finally realize this guy is a total freak show. Ing quickly acts like he's just joking to ease the tension, but Four Eyes reminds him that if Shiraoyang truly wanted their organs, he wouldn't be letting them walk around freely. They don't realize that Yiming is a slimy character who plans to seize the fortress on his own, convinced that being ruthless will be his greatest strength. In the next scene, Shiraoyang meets with Shan and her grandpa, who tell him that Qinchong is resting safely in the infirmary while they keep everything locked tight as instructed. Feeling glad, he thanks them and suggests they all get some rest because big problems are coming tomorrow, and he also warns them to be careful of Jangi's other two friends since one might turn on them. That night, our boy heads out to the rationing warehouse. Here, he takes another look at his collection of gadgets. He starts by opening the cultivator box, then spends his money on the supplies, and finally takes charge of the armed deterrent box. By buying all three at once, he earns 50 corn seeds, tons of food, and 1,500 rounds of ammo to keep him safe later. The rewards are so incredibly valuable that this massive stash will give him an unbeatable edge when the apocalypse hits. The next day, Trouble tracks our hero down once more. Remember those wealthy folks who promised to take revenge on our boy? Well, he's arrived with his friends to tear the place down, and he's ordered his servants to smash the gate wide open. But it's honestly pathetic to see that even after their best try, they can't even make a dent in that thick gate. The boss was so angry he couldn't believe the door would actually hold up. They pull out their best gear, toss Molotov cocktails inside, and soon the fire erupts into chaos. As Molotov cocktails crash inside, Shan and the group rush to douse the flames. With this situation, she becomes even more convinced of Xie Yang's words that things are only going to get messier from here on out. But you see, our boy never backs down, and this man brought a rifle to cut down anyone who stood in his way. He climbs up to the watchtower to see who the attackers really are. Shan's grandpa is the first to notice it's that wealthy crook from the highway, and his men have already spotted them from the watchtower. The snob screams at them, ordering Xiong to come outside, or else he will burn everything down. Xiong stayed calm and told them they had about 5 minutes to get out. His nasty reply makes the angry men threatening to fill 2 crates with Molotovs to burn down the fortress even more furious. Suddenly, the system drops another mission on our boy. Grandpa is stumped and suggests firing a warning shot, since the goal is to stop the invaders attacking the fortress. Our boy knows a warning shot won't stop these heartless scumbags who are threatening innocent lives, so he takes aim to put a stop to their cruelty. Xiong fires a shot that slices a man's arm, knocking him to the ground as he screams in agony. Shiraoyang tried to shoot the guy in the head, but since he hadn't held a gun in so long, his aim was a little shaky. Anyway, ripping off the guy's arm was all it took to end the fight, and there they ran away like scared kids, even though they were the ones who wanted a battle. Xie Yang knows he can't let this drag on, because those guys will be at his doorstep by tomorrow. He fires until none are left, treating each one with no mercy at all. The last few survivors sprint to the car, help their boss inside, and he yells at the driver to floor the gas pedal, proving that this guy is truly John Wick and not just another silly hero. Even though they tried to flee in the car, Xiaoyang fired his automatic rifle and brought them all down. The way he handles the gun with such skill makes the old geyser start wondering about the kid's past. Well, that was a terrible end for those villains, as their car is smashed and they are all dead, having brought their own destruction directly to the Grim Reaper, who is only too happy to deliver the final blow. Next, Xiao Yong asks Shan's grandpa to get the rest of the group to clean up the mess. Then, suddenly a new idea takes hold of his mind. Since the world is already falling apart, he decides to leave these guys exactly where they are, letting them turn into zombie training dummies instead of cleaning them up. Our boy has no idea that Shuang, Kajing, and her best friend are already on their way to join him. Kajing is secretly fuming at her friend for being so flirtatious right in front of the fat guy. Finally, they reach the spot they have been waiting for. Kajing planned to bring her best friend along, but then she suddenly changed her mind and didn't want to come. She must come along to lead the way, or they'll never find Xiaoyang's factory. Kajing refuses to let her stay inside, so he drags her out while ignoring her whining. As the two girls head toward the spot, Shuang gives a quick nod to his team, telling them to get ready for the big moment. Once he gets the signal, he'll jump in the car and bring his team into the action. Back to the girls, the evil bestie is asking why she was dragged along. Kajing warns her that they share the same dark nature, making her suspicious, while the evil friend casually admits she acts this way just to trick and control Xiaoyang. To their shock, they saw a pile of bodies on the ground, and it was clear right away that a big fight had just happened. Both of them stand frozen in fear, convinced that retreating is the only way out, until they suddenly realize this party must have been trying to steal Xiang's supplies all along. This makes them wonder if Shi Yang died in the fight, but they barely care as long as the supplies are safe, so while some think about turning back to Yu Shu Jiang, insists they keep moving forward and sneak inside. The girls reach the heavy, locked main gate and realize they can't get inside, so they start wondering if Xiao Yong actually made it out alive. From atop the tower, Shan speaks to them and asks what they really want. They both pretend they know our boy and act like they're his friends. Shan rushes to tell Shi Yang the news, which makes Kajing furious because she thinks he's found a new girlfriend, but her friend reminds her to keep her cool around armed people. Kajing is totally sure Shuang can take care of them since he brought his own guns, and once they get past the door, everything else will be a total breeze. Xiao Yong stepped up to check things out himself, puzzled about why Kajing and Wen Shuya were hanging out there. He immediately opens his all-seeing eye to check their true plans. While they pretend to be sweet and concerned, he sees right through their evil plans and laughs at their fake worry, even revealing to them that the fattest Shuang and their lackeys are hiding nearby. Both of these girls have surprised Pikachu faces, not knowing how he figured out. He shows no mercy and immediately fires a warning shot. Qing and Wen Shuya can't believe he's really going that far. The evil bestie keeps her head cool and tells Kajing to stay calm since they're up against someone with a gun. But our hero knows killing them all now would be too easy, so suddenly one dead man rises as a zombie and the rest follow, bringing that terrifying flu news story back to life. This is the moment our boy gets his wish to watch these two turn into zombie snack food. Kajing and Wen Shuya scramble to escape the hunting machines, hurrying back to Shuang, who has no clue what is happening. Just then, a massive horde of zombies charges at them, and the two women break down in tears, begging the fatso to save them. Shu Jiang never thought he would bump into those sick people out in the middle of nowhere. It forces him to change plans and order his men to retreat, leaving the two women behind without a second thought. Kajing is so furious she can't even die, and her secret plotting sends her purse flying to trip her best friend Wuwa, who crashes to the ground. With no escape and no protection, the zombies tear her apart quickly and feast on her flesh like hungry monsters. As she breaks apart and Shuya curses Kajing, swearing she'll meet a grim end when her time comes. She bolts away on her own, convinced she made the right call. Seeing such a terrifying sight, Shi Yang earns system points for removing another threat, while Shan watches in horror. He also gets to take on a new mission to wipe out the zombies still hanging around the base. Shan couldn't believe that the infection was so powerful it brought the dead back to life. With that, the end of the world has truly started, and Xiaoyang warns that monsters will run wild while the infected rise as zombies long after they die. Knowing he must tell his team the news, he calls for an urgent meeting right away. In the next scene, they all sit around talking about their next move. Xiaoyang orders everyone to lock down tight and train their bodies to handle the infection, so they won't risk suddenly changing into something dangerous. Even then, Jiang Qi's heart aches with worry for his hurt friend. Chun Chong is still lying in the infirmary, but sadly, his infection is slowly taking over him. The city is burning, chaos is spreading outside, and the whole world is falling apart. Yung Shurna tells his family to stay inside and lock the door while he heads to the warehouse to gather supplies. But things aren't going well for them, since someone is already pounding on the door. He signals his family to stay quiet, then steps up to the door holding a golf club, ready to knock out anyone who has been infected. He sees it's just Yong Tao outside and relaxes. That's his biggest blunder since Yong Tao has rallied his friends to utterly crush his boss. They push him to the ground right when he begs to be released. Even though the boss had been kind to Yong Tao for years, his own lackey ended up turning against him in the end. Yong Tao tells his old boss that he was treated like a dirty trickster instead of a guest, while Zhang Shanji reminds him of the money he spent to help Yong Tao buy a house. Yong Tao doesn't say thank you for the boss's help. Instead, he acts like it's no big deal since the boss is so rich he could buy a dozen houses, but he's really here just to grab the keys to the warehouse and steal everything inside. When the boss refused to back down, the scumbag snapped and turned his rage on the boss's family. Yong Tao grabs his wife by the hair, making the little boy scream in anger at the man for hurting their mom. That poor kid just has his limits. Yong Tao doesn't hesitate and delivers a heavy slap right to the kid's face. Zhang Shenji bellows at him for hurting his helpless wife and child. As the dark son of a he is, Yong Tao swears he won't hurt anyone if they let him work with them. Next, they haul him all the way back to the warehouse and unlock the door, only for Yong Tao to feel terrible seeing almost nothing left, while the boss points out their top customer, Shi Yang, just bought every last item, even the spoiled food, leaving the shelves completely bare. Hearing the name Xiong snaps Yong Tao awake, and he sees that if they just swipe those supplies from our boy, they'll have enough food to last a whole decade. Even the boss thinks that's a bad move because he knows from his past run-in with Shi Yang that the guy isn't easy to push around, and he's pretty sure Xiaoliang knew the apocalypse was coming long before it started and got ready for it. Yong Tao doesn't even bother to do the work himself, so he makes his old boss do the dirty part instead. Zhang Shenji won't listen until the other guy threatens his family, because if he doesn't protect Shi Yang's supplies, that man will just take his anger out on Zhang's wife and kid. This poor guy is in a really down moment. As they return to the fortress, Zhang Yi's friend was in deep trouble. He has lost his mind and is now acting just like a wild beast. The group watched in despair as their friend slowly broke down into a sorry mess. After a long pause, Yiming finally speaks up and says, "Let's get rid of him." Xiaoyong's words made him suspicious again. Zhang Yi can't believe the words coming out of Yiming's mouth. He means every word he says, convinced that once someone is dead, keeping their body alive just risks putting the rest of them in danger if they ever break free, even though hearing it hurts. Xiaoyong admits there's no way to bring their friend back, so he hands Yiming a blade just to see how he'll react, and the startled guy slowly figures out what's going on. Shi Yang begs him to kill his friend who has turned into a monster. Yiming's body shivers as he sees the blade, but our boy pushes him forward, reminding him that he asked for a weapon all along. So now it's time to pick it up and quietly say goodbye to his friend. Just as they talk, Zhang Qi suddenly snatches the blade away from their hands. He realizes how heavy the burden is, but he steps up to take on the job anyway. Our boy quickly warns him that doing this job will make him a murderer. Zhang Qi doesn't take things lightly, but since he trusts Shioi's words, he's ready to take on the job. He noticed his confidence and let Zhang Qi take his turn. Right after that, he loads the blade and is just seconds away from slicing his own face. But to everyone's shock, Shi Yang grabs him right at the last second. Even though they had agreed on everything, he suddenly changed his mind. It turns out Chun Chong is special, so Xiaoyong won't let him die because he still has use for him. That's because the system warned him about a rare mutation in his case. Now by himself in the room, our boy looks at how he feels. Chun Chong has turned into a wild, untamed beast right now. But Xiaoyong never backs down. The man steps right up to his face and reminds him there's one last job to finish. The next day, a car smashed headfirst into a pole. Actually, it's the boss who is cursed with terrible luck today, making him so clumsy he can't even drive. But since he's almost at the fortress, he can just walk the rest of the way, until an ugly zombie jumps on him and makes everything much more complicated. The boss gets bitten on his arm, shoves the crazy beast down, runs to his car, grabs the metal pipe, and literally knocks the sonic rings out of the zombie's head. He doesn't stop until he smashes the zombie's head into a bloody mess, but he's wasted too much time on one enemy, while others are catching up, so in his damaged state, he keeps limping toward the fortress. Speaking of which, our guys have their crew locked and loaded, each one armed with a weapon ready to take out the zombies hanging around the base. Sean gritted her teeth, knowing she had to wear the heavy gear even though it squeezed her skin and hurt. Shi Ying notes that while zombies are powerful explosives, they can get overwhelmed without battle experience, but he's okay with them removing that explosive power later on. Outside the base, they lock onto a single zombie as their main target. Shi Yang tells his team to get ready because they're close enough to make their move. Suddenly, the zombie spots them and lunges, but as it charges at the boy, Shirao Yong flashes back the plan. Stay spread out and watch each other's backs. He ducks the zombie's lunge and shows how to hit the weak spots in their neck, just like fighting the Titans. Surprisingly, Fori shows his courage by driving his weapon straight into the zombie's face. Instead of slicing through with his blade, he only hurts himself, and while I was focusing on him, he lost all his power in that same moment. The beast growls, wanting to tear him apart while he shakes in fear, waiting for help that never comes. Xiaoyong felt pretty impressed by how he stood his ground. Next, Jiangqi rushes in to hit the monster's neck, opening it up for the team to finish it off by hitting it again and again. Jiang Yi turns around to check on us, but our boy just says they should know the answer themselves, only for a zombie to suddenly rush in from his blind side and cause Jiangqi to shout a warning. With a mindless beast inches from biting his shoulder, Shi Yang swiftly spins around to grab the creature by the head, showing no fear as he turns the moment into another lesson about staying alert to everything around you. The others are left staring in awe at how fast he reacts and how quickly he thinks. Let's head over and see what the boss is up to. The boss stands there wishing he'd made different choices as he sees a line of vehicles outside the fortress, making him fear Xiao Yong might already be dead. But then he suddenly hears a group of people talking nearby. He hears Xiang's voice and creeps closer to see what's happening. Peering at the group from behind a car, he can't believe what he sees as Shi Yang and his team hunt down zombies with almost no trouble at all. Without the unlucky guy noticing, Shuya's zombie body crawls out from under the car, grabs his leg, and shows him exactly how to die in a way he never expected. She makes him stumble and take a tumble. With no way to fight back, the boss holds his breath as the zombie rushes in to eat him. Just as she's about to end his life, her head explodes into a cloud of pieces. Xiaoyang arrived right when it mattered to save his life. The boss shoves a headless body aside, while our boy wonders why he's even here, and before the boss can explain, Shi Yang sadly notices the infected bite mark. He raises the gun above his head, declaring himself a lost cause, but the boss begs him to listen before he pulls the trigger, and even though Shia is willing to hear him out, he won't let anyone get close. The grieving boss knows he's finished and races against time to avoid turning into a zombie, desperate to stop Yong Tao from destroying his family, who are being held hostage in exchange for Xiaoyi's supplies. Even though Yung Shanjie has done plenty of wrong in his life, nothing he's done ever comes close to what Yang Ta is doing right now. No matter what happens, his family is innocent. Yet he knows Yong Tao won't let them live, so he's begging Xiaoliang to show mercy and save them. Our hero is torn because he knows Jiang Shenhe is selfish, yet that same man helped bring the supplies. Even though his team is put together just right, there are far more men than women on it. Xi Yang believes that IP movements can happen based on this. After taking on a new mission to protect the boss's family and earning 25 points, he feels even happier, while also hunting down all the undead creatures roaming outside his base. In the end, Xiaoyang steps up and promises to take care of the boss's family. When he hears those words, Jiang Shenhe, who is about to get infected, crashes to the floor in an endless thank you for what they did. Now that the time is here, the boss knows infection is coming and refuses to die as a normal human. So Shiraoyang tells Shan to fetch a bike from the storage room, and even though she doesn't quite get why, she grabs one anyway. Our boy tells the boss to hide somewhere where no one can reach him before he gets sick, and even without explaining why it's the best move, the boss thanks him again. Next, we see Jiang Shang, Jay zooming away on his bike. As he slowly transforms into an infected creature, his last thoughts are still for his family. Now that he's gone, Xiang looks at the heap of zombies they all killed. After pouring gasoline over their dead bodies, he sets them ablaze, marking the end of their training. Xiaoyang feels proud, knowing they can easily handle scattered zombies as a team, but they admit that taking on large groups or waves will take some time to master. Xiaoyang orders his team to follow him into another mysterious storage room. Our boy keeps the old geyser running to guard the weapon room tonight while he heads to the city. Shan's grandpa can't believe his grandson is heading toward a ruined city without any reason. Jiang Qi and Four Eyes offered to join the mission, but our hero refused, saying the danger was too great for them. So he decided to stay behind and guard the fortress until they were ready. With that decided, just a few minutes later he's sitting in his car, weapons ready for the hunt. For the first time in forever, the store is so quiet that even finding something cool to drink feels like a long wait. This time, he chooses to spend his points to bring everything back to full health. As soon as he acts, he is greeted by a flood of strange new loot boxes, including a black tech box that saves lives and a dangerous armed one. And since each refresh costs twice as much as the last, he has to be very careful about when he uses it. Xiaoyang still believes it's a great move to spend every single point on those fancy new crates. For now, he buys just the black tech supply box, which leaves him with 6 points to spend. He pulls the bottle from the box and finds a magic potion that makes him 5 points stronger. This time, The leap is even bigger than before. With a surge of superhuman strength, Xiaoyang drinks the potion, his body falling under its power to become stronger than ever. Our boy is actually heading to the boss's house. His wife and child shake with fear, praying that Zhang Shenja will fix everything. After a while, Yang Tao and his goons burst into the room, leaving the helpless lady to wonder what they plan to do next. He shoves his weapon forward and tells her they'll enjoy her while her husband is gone, but she fights back hard and begs them to stop. The story picks up with shameless thugs ripping at Xiaoli's clothes while her son fights desperately to push one of them away. Suddenly Li, the guy with the ponytail, pops up to ask what the commotion is all about. One of the thugs laughs and asks Li to join in on the fun, but the man with the ponytail cuts him off, reminding everyone that the job isn't done yet and they need to focus on getting to work. The goon gets annoyed and asks why it's a problem, pointing out that they've done this kind of thing many times before. The ponytail guy gets angry when the gorilla doesn't get it, so he warns him that messing with Zhang Shenja's family will make the boss come after them all if she tries to hurt herself. He offers the horny gorilla a glimmer of hope, promising that once her husband is dealt with, they'll return to work her until she never rests again. But even as the horny gorilla calls him a party pooper for killing the mood, he decides to take her advice anyway. So the thugs trudge out of the room, one of them shooting her a creepy look as he tells her to wait for her turn. The mother and son are left helpless, with nothing to do but cry. When night falls, the zombies begin to wander the streets. On his lonely drive, our boy sits deep in thought about how much stronger he's become, boasting double the normal strength, faster reflexes, and better control. He speeds through the messy streets, swerves his car around corners, and feels the rush of excitement with every twist. The whole area is teeming with zombies, so our hero decides it's time to jump out of the car. With the city center just ahead, walking is the only way to keep moving without drawing unwanted attention. Then suddenly, he hears the sound of roaring coming closer. He spins around to find two zombies lunging right at him. But our guy doesn't flinch. He sprints to dodge the blow, tackles a monster with his shoulder, and throws it into another zombie. He quickly pulls out his sword, rushes forward, and swings so hard that both zombies have their heads chopped off in an instant, turning them into easy targets for him to practice his new strength and quick reflexes. He's shocked at how easily he's crushing them now, knowing for sure he's got more than double the strength of an average person. With his senses now razor sharp, he knows his target is just 800 meters away. Outside the grocery store, a pack of zombies keeps pounding their heads against the window and door. Inside, the survivors are scrambling to pile heavy things against the front gate, praying it holds long enough for them to find a way out. Terrified, Brad asks if they're going to die, but his father tries to comfort him by explaining that the witch's sons can't get in, and even if they do, they'll still win because they'll be reunited with his mom. The father's words didn't help at all, so the brat just started screaming even louder. The officer fumes at the father's thoughtless insult, but the dad fires back that if the officer had a brain, he'd be a property manager, and now the officer is finally scared they might actually die. Right as the tension snaps, they hear gunshots ring out. As one zombie's head explodes against the door, the kid drops to the floor in shock, leaving the dad completely confused. The officer orders them to shove the heavy stuff aside to spot who's outside, but he warns them to keep quiet. Peeking through the gate, they see the zombies are gone and slowly step out. The kid starts yelling about a mutant. The dad rushes to ask what he means, and the son explains that it's a tougher and quicker kind of zombie, just like the ones in comics, books, and games. The father gets annoyed at his son for obsessing over games even when in danger, snapping at him and realizing that's why his grades are so bad. The officer spins around to the father, snapping him to stop arguing and demanding to know why grades matter right now. Old Song pushes them to move fast and stay sharp for any mutant ambushes as they head toward the base, with the officer reminding everyone to keep their eyes open on the way. As they arrive at a split in the road, they come to a halt. The dad peered across the street and saw our boy there, busy tinkering with his system to rack up points and tweak his stats. Suddenly, the kid screams that it's a mutant zombie. But the officer, who is the only one in the room who is thinking straight, spots right away that this guy is a survivor and not a zombie. It looks like these guys have finally caught our boy's attention, and he laughs at the kid for thinking he's a mutant zombie, telling him to stop letting his imagination run wild. The officer relaxes, feeling a surge of relief as he realizes this isn't an imposter, but a real survivor. Moving carefully, he warns the boy that it's too dangerous to be out here alone and urges him to join their group so they can stick together and survive, while Zhang Xiaoyang asks who they are and why only a few of them remain. While checking the area, the officer mentions they're hunting for supplies and notes that many civilians are still at Rangian Garden, which reminds Zhang Xiaoyang of the junior mansion nearby. Old Song nods and says the place is right across the street. He then tells Zhang to come with them.